Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Empower Her podcast. So, I am someone that, and I think a lot of you can probably relate to this, I'm someone that has often been paralyzed by making the perfect decision. I want to make everyone happy. I want to make sure I never make a mistake. And yes, I will say that I've achieved a lot of amazing things by thinking about my decisions, by really taking time to do that. But the question really becomes is, has this actually helped me or has this caused me a lot of stress and anxiety? So the problem with this is that it's actually caused me a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. It's caused me to be a people pleaser and honestly unable to be truly myself a lot of times. And I feel like this is a pressure that especially women feel of needing to be perfect, needing to make the right decision, needing to please everyone. And we've really made it so that women feel like we can't do trial and error, we can't try new things, we can't make mistakes. And there's been studies that have shown, and I read an article about this. I don't remember exactly who it was, unfortunately, but they were basically saying how men have been conditioned as children to try new things and to experiment. So, because of that, as adults, they don't have a problem making mistakes or making decisions more quickly, versus women are really socialized to make decisions regarding everyone else around them. So, what I really want to talk about is this myth of the perfect decision. And I want to offer a new lens and a new framework of how we can look at making decisions that isn't really circulated around making the perfect decision, but instead making the right decision. So, the reason we often obsess over making the perfect decision is because it's a control mechanism, right? Sometimes we feel in life there's many things that we can't control. And so by making the quote unquote perfect decision, we feel like we can take back the control. We feel like we can control that situation, right? As I mentioned previously, many of us were raised to avoid mistakes, to be good, or to not disappoint others, right? This people pleasing tendency. So because you've been conditioned that way, your nervous system often interprets it as saying, okay, there's danger, there's a possibility that something's going wrong, so it's going to want to avoid that at all costs. So, because your body wants certainty, right? It's going to overthink and try to make the perfect decision. So, when you're thinking about making the perfect decision and your brain is in this state of like danger, danger, if you don't make the right decision, it's danger, what actually happens? So, what happens is you start to calculate every possible scenario for an issue, right? And many of us will not make a decision until we feel like we have the perfect solution. But who even defines what perfect is? Who even just gets to decide what it means to make a perfect decision, right? Our culture, and especially online and everywhere else, it reinforces that the perfect decision is based on what everyone else is saying, right? We see on social media what everyone is talking about, what the trends are, what people are saying, and we have this, effect that it's like, okay, we have to do what everyone else is telling us to, whether it's what your perfect job looks like, whether it's what the perfect partner looks like, the perfect engagement ring, your morning routine, right? Everyone is telling us what to do, how to optimize. But the question is it actually right for you? Is it what's actually going to be the best for you? So when we're in this state, we're overthinking, our brain is anxious, your brain starts to over focus on actually avoiding failure rather than making the right decision. And that's where the problem comes in. So, for example, maybe we can talk about posting content online because it's something that I do. So, when I first started, I literally overthought every single word I was saying on my videos, in my podcast episodes, and it took me a really long time to actually post things. It would take me a long time to edit things, and it was just not sustainable long term. And so I was trying to decide, okay, what is it that everyone wants to see online versus what is it that I actually want to say and how do I want to show up? Another example is I have a lot of clients who are trying to find new jobs, right? So they're editing their resume for roles they apply to. So you spend ages editing your resume for a role you want to apply to, and then you end up missing the deadline. You've spent so long trying to make your resume perfect that you end up missing the deadline to apply. Now, is that better than just spending 5 minutes editing your resume and then applying even if it's not perfect? No, of course it's not. It would have been way better for you to just apply to the role with an imperfect resume. And that's kind of what I want to talk about is like you're actually missing opportunities. You're missing out on life by not having those experiences. So the thing with the word perfect, which I absolutely hate and I've tried to really discard from my vocabulary, is that perfection is a fantasy of a guaranteed outcome. And it's one that no one can guarantee. Okay, I'm going to say this again, right? Perfection is a fantasy of a guaranteed outcome. We're saying that if you make a perfect decision, you will guaranteed have XYZ outcome. But actually, that XYZ outcome is not guaranteed. Who guarantees that? Who guarantees that if you make the perfect decision, you will have a certain outcome? No one can guarantee that. The perfect decision also assumes you can control the future and eliminate discomfort, right? But can you actually control the future? I can't. You cannot control every variable in every situation always, right? And the thing is that regardless of what decision you make, and this goes for pretty much anything, you are making a trade-off, right? No matter how perfect the decision feels or seems, you're still making a sort of trade-off, which is okay, but that's what you're doing, right? So the pursuit of perfect actually delays you from taking action, from growing, and from experiencing joy. So you wanting to be perfect is often a way for you to avoid fear. But if you're avoiding fear, if you're avoiding that discomfort, you're never actually growing. You're never actually making it. Something I talk a lot with my clients about is like, okay, when we're in this process of job searching, when we're applying, when we're networking, there's a lot of fear coming up. And I always say, right, that's okay that the fear is coming up, but we have to work through that fear. We have to work through that discomfort because that's where the growth happens. And there's like a famous phrase, I don't know it word for word, but basically it's like the uncomfortableness is where the growth happens. Like you can't grow and be better if you're constantly in situations that don't allow you to do that or that you don't give yourself the opportunity to do that. So I want to have a reframe. I want to remove this sort of stigma of having the perfect choice, the perfect decision. And I want to reframe it so that the goal is not to make the perfect decision. The goal is to make the right decision in the moment for you, right? So it's to make a grounded, values-based decision or choice that you feel comfortable standing behind. And that's the key. No one else is going to stand behind your decision when you're making it. So it doesn't matter what anyone else is saying. It matters how you feel and what you're saying and how you feel about that decision. It's about looking at your current situation at this current moment in your time and making the best decision you can in the moment with the information that you have. And listen, I think a lot of the fear comes from is like, if we make a decision, we have to stick with that decision for forever. But that's not true. You can literally make a new decision tomorrow or the next day or the day after that. Think about something really small like eating. Like let's say for dinner you decide to have, I don't know, enchiladas. So you've made a decision to have enchiladas, which means if you have enchiladas, you're not going to have pizza. But then tomorrow you can decide to have pizza. Or you can decide to have enchiladas again. It's the same thing with bigger decisions, right? Even if you decide to, accept a job offer. You made the decision in the moment, that was the right decision. And maybe in a year you feel like that's not the right fit for you anymore. You can make a decision to then start looking for new opportunities. It's the same thing. You can always pivot. You can always change. You can always adapt. You just have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with pivoting. Again, because you're growing and evolving. And actually, if you are pivoting, it shows that you're growing and evolving. So that's actually a really good thing. And the thing with making the right decision that I sort of want to debunk is we think that if we make the right, perfect decision, that we're supposed to feel 100% happy, 100% satisfied. And that's actually not the case because a lot of times making the right decision will not feel easy or certain. What it will feel is aligned in your body and your soul. It will bring you a sense of calm. And it doesn't mean that you won't overthink that decision because you absolutely can. Even if it's the right decision, you can still overthink. But it will be the most positive and abundant version that you can make in that moment, right? The thing we want to think about is like, even if you have negative feelings around it, does it bring you a sense of peace? Does it bring you a sense of relief, even with fear? Fear is okay. And again, we want to think about how the decision reflects your current priorities and values, not your ego or fears. Okay, I'm going to say it again. It needs to reflect your current priorities and values, not your ego or your fears, right? That's where this like nervous system dysregulation comes in, and we're making decisions out of fear, okay? Again, we often make decisions from a place of others' opinions, what others will think of us, what others think is the right decision, rather than what we actually want to do and what decision we want to make in that given time period. And the thing with right decisions is they typically involve a mix of logic, a mix of emotion, a mix of body wisdom, if that's something you're able to do in practice. And it's, again, I'm not saying you shouldn't think about a decision. You absolutely should think about a decision, but it matters how you think about it and from what context you're thinking about it, okay? So an example that you can think or feel about is when I'm making a decision, when I'm aligned with a decision, do I feel softer or more open in my chest? Do I feel a sense of calm? Think about a decision you've made and feel into your body, not your mind, feel into your body of how you feel if you would make that decision, or if you've already made the decision, how you feel. Look to see in your body if the decision's aligned. Your body will always know. Your body will literally always know. So I want to talk about how you can build self-trust while making decisions, because obviously, even if we understand logically, like we should be listening to our body, we should be doing all these things, it can be sometimes hard to start. So I want to give you a couple little exercises that you can do to practice and really build up that self-trust, because it is a muscle. It's definitely a muscle, so you want to practice and build it up. So the first thing you want to do, and I will literally say this till I'm blue in the face, is regulate your nervous system before making a big decision, okay? Nervous system regulation is when we're literally regulating our nervous system so we can come from a place of calm, or at least more calm, and make a decision. Because if your nervous system is dysregulated, your brain goes into fight, flight, or freeze, and it starts to think about survival rather than what's the best decision for you in the moment, okay? So examples of nervous system regulation are taking a walk, doing a breathwork activity, shaking, dancing, EFT tapping, meditation, anything that's going to regulate your nervous system. And then a couple of grounding questions that you can ask yourself. So write these down if you need. The first one is, what would I choose if I wasn't afraid of failing? We often have a fear of failure. So what would I choose if I wasn't afraid of failing? Number 2 is, what do I want to be true a year from now? What do I want to be true a year from now? That's looking ahead, saying, what goals do we want a year from now? What do we want to see a year from now? And the third one is, what does my body say yes to, even if my brain is unsure? What does my body say yes to, even if my brain is unsure? So basically, even if your mind is overthinking, what is your body saying? Where is your body leaning? That's what's important. And let yourself take aligned, messy action. You do not need to wait for 100% clarity to make a decision. In fact, you may never get 100% clarity, because clarity comes typically after the fact, right? Like there's the expression, hindsight is 20/20, because when you look back on situations, it's easier to see once you have all the information. When you're making a decision, you typically don't have all the information. You have some information, and you're making a decision that's best for you. You do not need the decision to be perfect. And again, maybe down the line you can pivot, change directions, make a change, whatever you feel like. But making a decision is better than waiting or stressing for forever to try to make the perfect decision. So what I encourage you to do is practice making micro decisions in your life to just see. So things like what you eat, how you want to spend your time that day, what clothes you wear. With these like small decisions you make day to day, practice building the trust so that it will help you when you actually have bigger decisions to make. And you can also use a sort of values alignment check-in. So a question to ask yourself is, does this decision honor what matters most to me right now? Again, it's about what matters most to you right now, and does that decision honor it, right? That's what's super important. So I just want to reiterate the fact that there's no future version of you who's happy all the time, right? It's never going to be a situation where you're happy all the time, you never doubt yourself, you always know the answer. That's not realistic. Life happens and life changes and life evolves. So again, it's about what's best for you in the current situation. And again, it's okay to shift. I will say this again. It is okay to shift. It is okay to try new things. It is okay to make different decisions in the future. But what you can do is practice continuing making decisions, even if it's small ones in your daily life. Again, what you eat, what you wear, activities, things like that, because that's really going to build that muscle. Okay. I want to reiterate, there's no perfect decision. Think about honoring the right decision in the moment for you using logic, your feelings, your intuition, your body, and build that trust over time. Stop outsourcing your power to the illusion of certainty. It's not about what other people think and feel. It's about what is best for you. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with some reflection prompts to kind of get you thinking about where you can start making the right decision versus the perfect decision. The first prompt is, where have I been waiting for the perfect decision instead of making the right one? And the second prompt is, what's one decision I could make this week that would move me forward even if I'm not 100% sure? Reflect on these, write them down, and think about how you can start building trust with yourself to make the right decision, not the perfect decision. If you love this episode, I would so appreciate a 5-star review wherever you're listening to it. And if you're listening on YouTube, definitely subscribe to make sure you get notifications with new episodes. I hope y'all have an amazing, fabulous week, and I'll catch you in the next episode.